We will go on to a new topic today, context-free grammar. Context-free grammar, as we earlier did see in Chomsky's Families of Language, it is a formal grammar which is used, of course, to generate languages which are identified with the help of your push-down automaton. Now, context-free grammars, they will take a four tuple V, T, P, S, just as your regular grammar, where V is the variables or the terminals. V will be the variables or terminals. T will be the terminals. P will be the production rules. And S will be the start symbol. Okay? Your variables or terminals will always be in capital letters. Your terminals will be in small letters, or it could even be symbols, plus, minus, and all that. Then you will have your production rules, which you will be denoting with an arrow. And then your start symbol, you will normally denote it with S. Now, context-free grammar takes a few conditions. Now, we will see that with the help of an example. Now, imagine you have a grammar like this. E. E is the start symbol. E is E plus E. E is I. And I is I. Okay. Imagine this is a grammar. Now, let's find out what is B, what is T, what is P, and what is S. As you all know, B is, or I'll write G directly. V is nothing but your right hand side. Okay, so E and I, your right hand side. T is nothing but your terminals. Okay, your symbols or your terminals, your small letters, the end. Okay, those are also terminals. So I have two terminals over here, plus and ID. Then I have P. Okay, I'm lazy to write, so I just put this in a box. This is my P. Okay, P, and my start symbol S. My start symbol is nothing but the first production rule, RHS. In this particular grammar, E is my start symbol. So I can say G is equal to V, T, P, S. So this is how the form of a grammar takes place. You have your variables, you have your terminals, you have your production rules, and you even have your start symbol S. Okay, in this particular example, my start symbol is nothing but E. Okay. Now, your production rules, as you all know, it will always take the form with an arrow. Okay. Now, A or a variable, A is nothing but a variable. It can give you a terminal. This takes the form A is alpha. This takes the form A is alpha. A can be a variable. Okay. A will be belonging. Okay. Here, I. A will belong to the set of B. Here I have my A is what? E and I. You take individually E and I. They will belong to my set B. Okay. Now, every regular grammar is context-free as per the hierarchy we saw, but not all context-free grammars are regular. Now, let's see something called derivations. How can you derive context-free grammar? Now, the derivations of context-free grammar, it is similar to the derivations of your regular grammar. Now, I do have a particular grammar over here with 4 production rules. The first what you can write is, you can write down what is G. You can write down what is G. I do have E and I. It follows the V, T, P, S. My variables. What are my terminals? I have a plus, I have an into, and I have an ID. Then P, I'm not writing P. This is my P. Okay, this whole thing is my P. And my start symbol, what is my start symbol? So this is my grammar. Now, given a particular grammar, I need to derive a particular string, ID plus ID into ID. Now, as we know, you will be starting from your start symbol, E plus E. Okay, so there are two ways in which you can do it. You can either do it from the left to the right or from the right to the left. I will go the normal way from the left, and then let's see a normal derivation, and then we will see LMD and RMD after some time. Now let's see how we normally do it. E. Now look here, the first should be a plus. Okay. Now what I can do is I can replace E with I. So I can write I plus E. At the time you can replace only any one. I can replace it with ID plus E. So you know this part I'm done with. ID plus. Now ID plus. This much is fine. E. E can also take the form E into E. E into E. ID plus I into E. ID plus ID into E. ID plus ID into I. ID plus ID into ID. That's proved. So normally when you derive, you have two arrows away. Single arrow is for production. Okay, so you have derived the string ID plus ID into ID. You can draw a parse tree or a derivation tree for the same. Okay, each step will have a level. Okay, so E is, I first did E plus E, E plus E. Then I moved, I changed E to I to ID, plus I didn't do anything. After which I did this E into E, this particular step. E I changed into I changed into ID. Here also I did the same. ID. When I take the terminals, take the leaf of your tree. When you take the terminals of your tree, you should be getting the string. ID plus ID into ID. When you take the terminals of the string from your derivation tree or the parse tree, you should be able to get the string, which means, you know, you are able to derive it. Now, we will see something called LMD and RMD. Leftmost derivation and rightmost derivation. Now, leftmost derivation means you start your derivation from the left. Now, I'll directly do it. It is very easy. You will start from your start symbol. E is equal to E plus E. You start from the left. Okay. Go for the first variable in the left, which is not yet changed into something else. Okay. So I'll go for this E. I can change it to I plus E. Okay. Again, left, left, left. Go for I, ID plus E. Okay. So this is a terminal. This is also a terminal. Now, when you move from the left, E is the only non-terminal or variable which is not yet changed into a terminal. So it changes into I. ID, sorry, this is E into E. This is I into E. This is ID plus ID into E. ID plus ID into ID. ID, sorry, this is ID. ID into ID. I have derived it. Now let's say the difference between leftmost derivation and rightmost derivation. Rightmost also you will start with the start symbol E equal to E plus E. Instead of moving from the left, go from the right. Take the variable which is not yet being changed into a terminal. So you will leave this as E itself, and you will be changing this E. What is E? E into E. Okay, so E plus, you will be going for the rightmost. Okay, only after the rightmost is done, you will go for the next inside the right. E plus I into ID, E plus ID into ID, I plus ID into ID, ID plus ID into ID. Okay, look here, the steps are different. Even though it is the same thing which you wanted to prove, the steps for both are different. Now, let's construct the trees for both. Okay, so first I'll construct the tree for leftmost derivation. Okay, E is equal to E plus E. E I changed into I changed into ID. Okay, this I changed E into E. After which this E I changed into ID. Sorry, I changed into I. This I changed into ID. This into ID. Sorry, this into I again. And this into ID. This is the tree for my leftmost derivation. Now, let us do the tree for the rightmost derivation. E plus E, you can construct it. You can construct it. Okay, even for the rightmost derivation. Now, if you look, the steps are a bit different for LMD and RMD. So, for a given grammar, you can either have an LMD or you can even have an RMD. You can have a leftmost derivation. You can have even a rightmost derivation. Interestingly, for some grammar, you can have more than one leftmost derivation. You can even have more than one rightmost derivation. That is also very much possible. We will go on to a new topic called ambiguity in grammar. Now, as you all know, the word ambiguity means more than one. Ambiguity means more than one. Now, you say that a context-free grammar is ambiguous if there is at least one string where you can have more than one LMD or more than one RMD or more than one parse tree. If any of this exists, you say that a particular grammar is an ambiguous grammar. Now, let's find out whether this particular grammar is ambiguous or not. Whether it can have any of these, more than one LMD or more than one RMD. Okay, I'll just quickly go into the previous example. Now look here. Here, you started with E is E plus E. The same example, you can even start it by doing E is equal to E into E. You will get the same answer. Here also, you can start doing it with E into E because E is the start symbol. E can either be this, or this. So, very simple, you're having more than one LMD or you're having more than one RMD. So, this is an ambiguous grammar. In case you have more than one LMD or more than one RMD, you can say it is an ambiguous grammar, or even if you have more than one parse tree, and just simply draw two different parse trees for this particular grammar. Derivations, anyway, you're comfortable with derivations. I'll directly go into parse tree. But this is two ways in which you can do it. You can either start with E plus E. E is ID. Sorry, I always go wrong. E is I. This is ID. E into E. E is I, E is I, this is ID, this is ID. This is one pass tree. You can draw a completely different pass tree. You can even draw it like this. E is equal to E into E. Okay. And then after that, what you can do is E, I, ID, E plus E, I, ID, I, ID. Okay. And now let me take the terminals. Let me take the terminals. Okay. Both satisfy ID plus ID into ID. Both satisfy ID plus ID into ID. Now look here. Let us see what is the problem if you have more than one pass tree. Let us prove it mathematically. What is the problem if you have more than one pass tree? Now, as you all know, when you do mathematical calculations with the help of the trees, things in the lowest level, they get calculated first. Okay, so here ID is nothing but a number. So let me consider 2 plus 3 into 4 over here, and even 2 plus 3 into 4 over here. Okay, so which is the lowest level? ID into ID. So this will happen first, followed by my plus, which means, I will get 4 3s are 12 plus 2. The answer is 14. Okay, if I go for this, plus is on a lower level. So this will happen first, followed by my into, which means 3 plus 2, 5 4s are. My answer is 20. So this is the problem if you have ambiguity in grammar. If you are able to construct more than one tree, more than one LMD, or more than one RMD, you will have a mismatch. So that is why we always go for something called non-ambiguous grammar.